Grand jury foreperson handed up the findings to the judge. Reports circulated that there were 10 Fulton County indictments against the former president. In reality, there's only one. Atlanta News First reporter, investigative reporter Sierra Cummings joining us live from the courthouse where it happened yesterday, really helping us understand the indictment and the implications here. Sierra?
Yeah, initially a lot of confusion, but as you mentioned, in the Fulton County case of election interference, there's only one indictment against the former president and 18 of his allies. And in that one indictment, there are 41 counts in total.
A count represents a criminal offense outlining the charge. The indictment lists 13 charges specifically against former President Donald Trump, the most notable RICO, solicitation, and conspiracy. What makes the Georgia case much different from the three others in the nation, a RICO conviction here in Fulton County results in mandatory jail time. It's worth noting, Monday night's confusion on the multiple indictments likely stemmed from this, according to legal experts. That Fulton County grand jury heard multiple unrelated cases in the past few days, and Monday night was the day for them to hand up all indictments from separate cases they've been tasked with voting on. Finally, the grand jury did not decide whether Trump and his allies were guilty. They simply decided on the weight of the evidence, and they voted true bill. Here's what it means.
A true bill would be a, yes, this person committed this crime, or we find that this person may have committed this crime, so we're going to move forward in the whole process, the judicial process of, prosecuting this person. Whereas a no bill will say, we don't find that there is enough evidence that, we can move forward on these charges. So at this time, we're going to say no bill, don't proceed any further with these charges.
And an indictment is just an allegation, as the Fulton County DA noted herself last night in her press conference. Former President Trump and 18 of his allies, they all remain innocent until she proves otherwise. At the courthouse, I'm Sierra Cummings, Atlanta News First.
All right, Sierra, thank you.